So we have barracks, double barracks actually on low ground. And I guess this is going to be the old Beyond build.
But instead it seems like Maru just has his eyes a little bit more set on trying to get some damage done here in the main.
Yeah, maybe the hatchery's far enough along. He thinks, well, it's probably a lost cause. I could have come in there earlier. There's a lot of nuance for, you know, each of these Reaper builds on each of these maps and what you can and can't get away with. He's going to be behind the minerals. This is a pretty big commitment because a lot of times the Reapers never get back out.
Yeah, but there's going to be nothing in the natural expansion, so that means more drones are going to fall. 3 drones going down already. Can he get a 4th?
Oh!
He can! For 1 Reaper in total, that is a fantastic trade, especially if you consider that Shin, to deal with this, had to make a couple more pairs of Zerglings, which also could have been drones, so Maru absolutely making the correct call. Instead of going for the 3rd base, goes into the main, drops down into the natural, and gets a ton of economic damage done. Yeah, and it's double factory again with concussive shell. So it'll be a 2-fact Marauder push coming out.
How many builds can Terran do like this? This is wild to me. And you know, each build requires a different unit composition, a different balancing act from the Zerg to deal with. And so concussive shells, this is probably going to be a build where you basically, in the first couple seconds, get the hits, get the kills, and it snowballs super fast. And so now we've got that next factory coming down here.
I thought for sure, given that it was a double barracks opening, he would try to utilize that somehow, and with a tech lab, he would have it hedge into Marauders, but this might really take Shin by surprise. I feel like for Shin right now, from the Zerg perspective, you are a little bit suspicious because Maru hasn't done any Marine drops to this point. There's been no Widowmine drops, so obviously, where is that factory production going? Where is that barracks production going? What are you building up to?
He's got something up his sleeve. He's going to have to show it in a little bit here. So he's going to move out right now. Hurricane thrusters are done. He's going to come across the map here with all these cyclones. Is there enough to basically hold any one position? The Lings are handy, and he gets a surround on the Hellions.
Oh, that's huge. Those 5 Hellions get surrounded.
Not quite enough. The Banelings are going to be done. The Hellions are pretty badly bruised.
Yeah, but I feel like the kiting potential might be a little bit too much right here for Maru, especially with the creep spread too dismal. Now, that is a nice catch there for Shin in the center of the map. He did get 2 Cyclones and a reinforcing Marine with this pair of Lings. And if he gets set up for some kind of surround, there is a play that could be made. But this battle mech style coming out of Maru can be so hard to deal with.
This seems like just a much healthier position. The Cyclones didn't really get much done. They were scary, but they didn't, wipe out bases, didn't really kill off many queens. Ooh. A really great Ling run by.
And there's no wall at the top of the natural ramp either, so Sumeski's going to get taken down here in the natural, and a full scout in the main base there for Shin as he confirms mech, double armory, 2 more factories in production, gets 4 SCVs for his trouble. All in all, a pretty good scout, and he's playing with complete information.
I'm starting to wonder if really the long-term game plan for Maru is going to be to just let the Zerg take their half and Maru slowly takes his, because Shin is huge right now. Yeah. He's on 6 bases. He could even take the 12 o'clock base if he wanted to. It wouldn't be easy, but I mean, he's got a lot of reach.
I feel like if it's going to go down that path, now is the time to take one of these middle bases, whether at 12 o'clock or at 6 o'clock, because any mining you can get from that while you have map control is mining that Terran cannot get from it later. If eventually it goes into a split map scenario, but for now it seems like Shin, his eyes are more on dismantling this Terran army before it reaches that point. I think even from the position that Shin is in right now, you do not want to go into an exhaust game against Maru, who is going to go into Ghost Mech inevitably with full-on 3-3 mech upgrades. That is a very scary proposition for a Zerg. I feel like that's an endgame base to take.
Yeah.
Once you have basically creeped through the map of command centers and planetaries as Shin comes through, gets a lot of tank pickoffs, and actually the connections here on the Cyclones with the Banelings have been really clutch. That Thor gets yoinked as well. Roju's going to push forward, take that one out, and Maru just suddenly dropped a ton of army supply.
Nice harpooning here, takes those Cyclones out, no problem.
That might be enough. If Shin's able to remax here, I think he can find some really big damage. The army for Maru on the field right now, what you see on screen is basically what you get. There are 4 siege tanks, 2 ghosts, 1 Thor, and not much else.
Okay, he's going to lean in. He's going to Bane up. He's going to Ravager up. He's going to try to hit that spot again. With the one we just saw attacked, he could hit this one down here as well. Meanwhile, 12 o'clock's getting filled in. I feel like Shin is playing the game of his life. I also do feel like Maru didn't really set himself up for success right here.
Yeah, getting caught out of position like that could be devastating. It could decide the fate of this game, as Shin does not look like he wants to waste this opportunity. He's setting up, trying to position his army to come in from 2 different sides. Vipers looking for their targets. Nice EMP though by the Ghost. Only 1 Viper with full energy. Here comes Shin on both sides. Baneling's coming in, connecting on the Hellbats, going into the mineral line. The Planetary is taking a ton of damage. Maru's down at 130 supply. The Thor has fallen. I think Shin might be breaking him.
I think this game is probably over. I don't imagine the other mech units like tanks and everything are going to be able to get over here and defend these other spots in time. He's putting a little bit of pressure over there on that base on the right. We've got a couple tanks coming down to try to help out. We also see that Shin is going to go down into the bottom right. I think the Planetary drives him away there as well. But again, that supply really does tell the story.
Yeah, I mean, look at Shin's bank too. He's remaxing with Banelings, which is one of the most supply-efficient ways of remaxing. It's very expensive to do this, but it packs a lot of punch. And he still has 3K plus resources in the bank. More SCVs for Maru are going to fall. He's losing another mining base. Oh, I didn't even see this. The triangle third. 13 SCVs in total get taken out.
Yeah, I think this next attack is going to kill him off too.
And even if it doesn't, I mean, the bank here for Shin, he is so huge right now. He can just keep going.
All right, here we go. He's going to come in again. Banes are going to connect. This Planetary cannot be saved in time. It's going to fall. This is going to put Maru on 3 bases with only, I think, 1 fully mining.
Maru's trying his best to micro back through these choke points, and to his credit, he is able to stave off death for now. I feel like he's living on borrowed time. That clock is ticking down. Maru almost to 100 supply to Shin's 200, as the next rematch is going to pack such a big punch here for the Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, Shin's got this. Maru died. And, you know, there's less and less targets to hit for Shin, but there's also less and less supply here for Maru. So, you know, in some of these games, you'd think it might be easier for the Terran because there's only 1 spot to defend, but he doesn't even have the defensive assets to probably cover the last base that he's got. So, I mean, this should be a pretty easy alley-oop here for Shin.
A lot of the supply is in Roaches, so it's not the most supply-efficient army, but still, with these Ravagers, with these Infestors, there's a big chance that Shin's just able to break this game open right now. Maru's doing everything in his power to try and survive. He's got siege tanks on the high ground, and he's desperately clinging to getting that siege tank count up. That's what he's prioritizing. He's gone from, I think, 2 all the way up to double digits to 10. He's producing them 2 at a time, and I think he's hoping that somehow Shin is going to misplay, fumble an engagement, the siege tanks and the Ghost will carry it, and he can equalize. Let's see if that happens. More Biles coming down to the command center. He almost has enough Ravagers to 2-shot that thing. Oh my goodness!
What an ending! This is insane. He actually does end up killing off all those Infestors. Maybe not quite the ending we thought.
That was actually really anticlimactic.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man, what a highlight reel play.
And then kills it all. You got to be careful when you're Shin right now. I think everybody who's played you know, this game on any level has had that moment where, like, you get a little bit careless and you attack it a couple times. You're like, oh no, we're back into an actual fight again.
It's a heart-sinking moment. I mean, Maru, the supplies kind of don't tell the full story because Maru actually is ahead right now in army supply after that last engagement, and Shin's army is 29 plus Roaches. So I'm a little bit concerned now that if Maru is able to stabilize and reach max, even on a low SCV count with that 4th base, especially with rallies like this, Shin throwing away a couple more units here. I mean, yes, Shin's bank is huge, but I don't think Roach is the composition you use to actually break this position open.
And when you don't have that many workers, you can fill that supply up with a big army. Again, I think Zerg will trade anything for anything at this point in time. But the fact that the Terran got the 3 o'clock base is pretty big.
Yeah, this is scary, though. I mean, Maru's basically gearing up for a death push right now, and if he can catch Shin before Shin is able to remax on the ideal composition to defeat this army, there is a world that Maru is able to turn this around despite being completely hamstringed in the mid-game.
Well, it's kind of crazy. He just doesn't have the right tools here. You see tanks going the long way all the way around the bottom. He's going to be able to hit 2 bases at once.
Maru was on the verge of death for minutes.
I mean, he has to be able to break this, right? He has so many minerals and gas.
The thing is, he only has 100 army supply available because his drone count is so high. And all right, engagement's now coming in. Broodlord's here on the high ground. Solaris is one of these maps with a lot of dead airspace where you're able to utilize the Broodlords quite well. So Viking counts will be necessary here for Maru to actually break up positions like this one, which is so hard to breach with Doors and Ghosts on the low ground.
Okay, he's gonna back up. I mean, I gotta say, you know, never count Maru out. We've got the Vikings here, though.
Oh, armor shredding missile on the Broodlords. They're taking a ton of damage right now. The Vikings, there's no anti-air to stop the Vikings from melting these Broods.
Are you serious? One of these Broods is so low, he just barely transfuses it in time. It does eventually fall. The push is gonna keep coming forward.
Oh, this is insane. 12 Ultralisks right now in production here for Shin.
The Broodlords are all gonna fall. There's the Ultras out now. The spread is pretty good. I mean, the Ultra count's not that high. They're not all grouped up, you know, together here. So you can kind of pick them off individually. The tanks are staying alive. Now here come the real grouping of Ultras.
Oh no, the Ultras get caught on the ramp. The siege tank splash damage is so huge right now. Maru's army supply is falling. Are the Ultras gonna be enough? They're so low on HP.
Yeah, pretty good targeting here from Maru. Things are thinning out. It's 155 to 121. Terran's still continuing to grow. There's an attack over at 9 o'clock that we're not really following, but I think a lot of workers have fallen over there. There it is.
Oh, this is insane. Shin right now has literally 3 larvae. So what you see right here, until the next round of macro comes in, it's what you get, but it might just barely be enough to break this position.
The other thing is that Maru doesn't know that, but yeah, I think you might be right. If it's what, like 45 army supply here, it's Vikings landing versus Ling Ultra. But you know, anything that you hemorrhage here is going to be gone forever. I don't know why you'd burrow there.
Oh, this is crazy.
Yeah, he doesn't have queens.
Maru was on death's door.
He's a Starcraft 1 Zerg right now. He does not have any larva injects.
Oh, you're right. He literally has no queens. 70 drones to 43 SCVs. This position is really hard to breach. We'll see. Shin's coming in, trying to do it. Roach is pushing up.
If he's going to do it, he's going to do it right now. It looks like the Ultra is still in the game. The Vikings land like the Heart of the Swarm trailer.
The Roaches are able to get on top of the siege tank, and this might just barely be.
Well, I'm waiting for the second factory or more barracks. But speaking of this, we got some add-on juggling here.
Yeah.
Let's see if he actually lifts again once it's gone. No, he sticks to it. So, you know, if you're Maru, it is important to get out of this group fast with this final game and not reveal 2, possibly even 3 more TVZ builds if you can.
Oh, we have a very early Spire coming in from Shin.
I think it's smart.
Yeah, already on 6 gases as well.
Maybe some Muta play coming up.
Yeah, we typically don't see Mutalisk that often in this matchup anymore, but against a mech player that's mostly just making Cyclones and Hellions, if they get caught, if they get caught unprepared, as that scan is going to see the Spire. In fact, they're at the natural. So Engineering Bay immediately thrown down there by Maru.
Yeah,
he knows he needs turrets.
Huge scout there from him. Nicely done.
Shin, he tries going for fast Muta. It gets scanned by Maru. As soon as the Spire gets scanned by Maru, Shin throws down an Infestation Pit in the main base because he's like, I'm going to change the game plan a little bit here. And then Maru scans the natural again and confirms the hive. So Maru really on point with his scouting, and Shin coming in now with the Mutas just before these turrets are done.
Yeah, literally, like seconds before it's done. He's going to be doing a lot more damage here. The Cyclones will come up, that'll drive the Mutas out, and only then can Maru get those turrets up.
Yeah, those Cyclones not quite as good as they used to be at chasing down the Mutas. Of course, they don't have that insane 12 or 13 leash range or whatever it used to be that they had in patches before, but still very useful in terms of DPS as Shin is going to rotate around, trying to find more damage. Does get 1 more SCV, but not much more than that as these turrets finally will get constructed here, and both players really gearing up in the upgrades. 1-1 vehicle weapons and plating here for Maru as Missile Tech and Ground Carapace complete here for Shin. It starts to feel a lot bigger.
Interesting.
So we'll see exactly how that plays in for Maru, but oh my goodness, that's like, what, 5 siege tanks immediately getting taken out.
Oh my god, it's just 2 more tanks in the back over here. He's going to try to reinforce with what he can. He's got some Cyclones in the front. It seems like the Cyclones might be enough to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, those Cyclones really unleashing a ton of DPS, but the Mutas in the main base, there's no turrets to parry these. 17 SCVs get taken out, and Shin right now is maxed to 130 supply. Maru, whose siege tank count got basically reset. I mean, was there a turret in the main base that we missed and maybe Maru didn't repair or something? I don't even know what happened here. That is insane.
I mean, we're starting to get into a game where Terran is looking very flimsy.
I mean, Maru, he still is at 74 SCVs. He has a ton of workers, but This is not the position he necessarily wants to be in.
He's sending the Vipers back, so we're going to have another round of tank harpooning.
Army right now for Maru is almost pure Cyclone siege tank. Thors are added into production now, more Vikings underway, and the Brewler transition coming through, but Maru almost already has the answer. It's about to be a lot of Vikings on the field.
Yeah. We're at that phase of the game where the Brood Leads do come out. Kind of sloppy there with the Roaches. He's going to drive that away. This is a very exposed position. I just see a Planetary. Not much else. You can always go behind the minerals and just not have to deal with the Planetary at all. So he's just going to do that with the 3 Roaches, just put him back here. He knows that Terran's going to come down and clean this up, but at least stop the mining for the time being. You know, Mech is not a nimble composition, so it does take a while to get everything back over there.
Nah, it's like Terran playing Protoss, basically.
Yeah.
Except they win more games. Sorry, had to get a jab in there somewhere. All right, Broodlords now coming across the map with a ton of Queens and Overlords also to absorb some of the Vikings, so that will add a little bit more of a micro tax here on Maru. I like that quite a lot, because this does kind of jumble up the shift targeting here. Let's see what Shin's able to get done. Engagement beginning. Vikings first targets on the Overlords. Eventually are able to get some shots in on Corruptors and on the Broodlords, but they go a little bit too far forward.
Yeah, the Corruptors don't feel like as good of an idea when you realize they can't really get in there and actually engage the Vikings at that distance, especially with the Thors over there.
I mean, the ground is getting cleaned up a little bit. I think there are enough Corruptors on the field to kill the Vikings, but there's just no Broodlords left. There's only one.
Yeah, it's funny. He wins the ground fight. And now these Corruptors are going to get dragged in through here. These Thors can kill them off. The Hydras are not going to be that much of a threat. He's going to try to engineer and just kill off this one Broodlord.
Kind of a bizarrely even engagement with the way that one went. Yeah. I was expecting one player to come up a little bit more on top than they did. And Shin, yes, he is going to be able to remax, but exactly what is he remaxing on? Because I'm a little concerned for his odds if the follow-up attack does not get too much done. Oh, you're kidding me. So the remax from Shin, it's just ground. It's Roaches, it's Hydras. He has a couple more Vipers on the field. And it seems like his game plan now is to try and overwhelm this force for Maru. Let's see if he can do it. Blinding Clouds are huge to start this one out. Oh, that's a ton of Lings rotating in. There isn't a lot of AoE damage here for Maru to try and clean that up. Roaches and Hydras on top of the siege tanks and Thors. Maru losing a huge chunk of his army.
I mean, this is insane, man. I think that Maru might end up falling over here. I don't see a whole lot to reinforce. Just a couple ghosts as the Roaches and the Hydras continue to push in.
One more Thor there is going to try and hold on the defense, taking a ton of the damage here from the Roaches so that there could be more DPS coming in from the Ghosts, but I don't know if Maru is actually able to hold on. I think barely by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah,
he'll be able to defend, but the rematch from Shin, he still has 2,000 resources in the bank.
Well, you know, the crazy thing, too, is there's nothing else protecting these tanks. I mean, how many tanks have we lost in this game? The Roaches can come in here and pick this off, and then all these positions are going to be so flimsy for Terran.
Yeah, there isn't even a single Planetary on this right side of Terran's base. Which is now coming in. This base has to get evacuated. That's going to further damage Maru's mining economy right now as he is really starved for resources.
He's just going Roach Hydra. I don't think he has to do anything fancy.
Viper's getting added into the mix too. If he can combine Fungal with Biles on those Ghosts, that would just be the cherry on top. But not even waiting for the Infestors, just pushing in. Those siege tanks are getting really good volleys off on those Roaches, though. That was not an efficient trade for Shin poking in.
Like the triangle base is maybe too safe, but hold on. He's going to decide to come in here. He does bungle some of these tanks.
It's a nice Neural right there on the corner. Gets another siege tank there with Neural for a moment, but Hellbat's on top of all these units, doing a great job of defending for the siege tanks, but I think Shin might just barely have enough. There are still 5 Ghosts standing here with the snipes, but they don't do a lot of damage to these Roaches and Hydras.
It wasn't the cleanest attack, but it might not have had to be. He's going to come in further here.
There's more siege tanks, though, Tazeless. There's always another siege tank. I mean, Maru, just by the skin of his teeth, is barely holding on again and again. Right now, he has just a handful of Ghosts, a handful of siege tanks, but Shin, with these army compositions, just can't quite close it out.
We've got the Baneling's Nest coming down again. Was it killed off?
I don't think he ever made Banelings.
I guess he never really went for Banelings, that's right. We had such a weird mech comp.
Yeah, he's just been playing basically Roach Hydra Ravager this entire time, and That's one of the reasons also why we haven't seen a Viper on the field in what feels like minutes, because his army composition is already so gas intensive. He's throwing all of that gas into Roaches and then into Ravagers. And so far it hasn't really been working. This base, Maru says it's not even worth defending. He's just going to allow this one to fall. It's mostly mined out.
Yeah, it makes sense. He is going to send some units up here, though, to try to get some snipes.
Yeah, I mean, take any damage you can here as Maru. I mean, the tenacity of Maru to stay in this game, similar to game number 2, and barely survive push after push.
This is so crazy.
It's absurd.
So he's going to kill this off. Keep in mind the most mineral-rich bases should be in the top right, and there's one near the bottom center. Not quite to the bottom, but close. But, you know, Terran's starting to catch up in supply. Terran can start to really reach on the map.
I mean, the army supply is almost favoring Maru here with Shin running a mostly Roach composition. That is not what you want here as Zerg. Now, a nice Duck will get another Siege Tank. Blinding Cloud is clutch as well, but again, the ghost count, it's barely ever diminishing. I feel like it's only growing. In some of these engagements, Shin might be picking off 1, maybe 2 ghosts, but it is not enough to stop this ball from accumulating. And
I mean, this is the moment of truth. He's going to come out. He's going to try and you know, basically make a wedge in between this position here and everything north of it so that Zerg can be killed off. We've got the attack coming in. The Ghosts are very bunched up. The Bane's going to come in.
Speed.
Oh, God, yeah, Baneling speed is brutal. He kills all of it off.
I mean, if he had Baneling speed, I think he gets a handful of Ghosts there, but the fact that he transitioned to Baneling so late means he just doesn't have it. Now this Hellbat wreaking havoc over here on the right side, and this isn't the only base. There's another base at the top right that Shin is mining from. This is a huge portion of his economy.
And we're just seeing a primitive tech here from Shin. I mean, it's Ling Bane now. Dude, I think Maru might have done it. We got to see the next couple of attacks. Again, all you need is a couple of Banelings to hit all targets. He does have medevac, so he can scoop this up if he wants. He's going to get most of that out of there. He's going to get the hatchery as well.
I mean, as you said, it's like Shin is trying to break this with basically caveman tech. Occasionally we have a couple of Vipers getting mixed in, but for the most part this entire game, it's been Roaches, it's been Ravagers, it's been a couple Hydras, it's been a couple Banelings.
We got to note that, you know, the Zerg has grown into the bottom left, so it's not like these are the only bases he's got. Now, of course, Terran will happily relocate their expansions to this base here now. Another maxed out army, another opportunity. Tanks maybe a little overexposed in this position.
That shit now going to try and come in. Nice Blinding Cloud, able to disable the only siege tanks that were in position over there. As Maru's going to rotate over here to the top side. This is a little bit of a choke point. With siege tank staggered, there might be something Maru can get done, especially with snipe.
Yeah, there's just enough beefy units to get in the way. The counter push is going to come in towards the top right. I mean, Maru is still in this game. We don't have, you know, any action in the bottom. But, you know, Shin can just, you know, fill in the gaps wherever he can, basically. We've got a lot more tanks coming forward here. The Roaches, I don't think that they should be this far out. I don't think they can easily retreat either.
I think Shin just feels like he has to defend this base here at the top right. He can't allow Maru to take this down because he can't allow Maru to secure this base for himself. That's the real issue. And, all right, some Ling's getting on top of the Ghost. There is Cloak on some of them. I don't know if Shin's gonna be able to take them down. Link Blood coming in. There are medevacs though to lift up, and there's no anti-air to be found. It can't be anything to really take down these medevacs. No Hydras to yoink them into. I mean, the army supply you see on screen right here for Shin is most of it. And the Roaches are gonna get on top of these siege tanks, but at the end of the day, the Ghost just, once again, coming in from this side might be enough with Snipe to clean this up.
I mean, Maru is so low on supply. I feel like he's the only player who could possibly be in a game this long and maybe make it work.
Shin has literally 0 gas income. He's taking extractors and he's mining from none of them right now. He only has minerals, which means he can only make Lings. And his Lings only have +1 attack. And Tasteless goes to bonus damage versus Lings. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this for Shin at all.
Now, of course, Maru doesn't know that. So he might assume that there's the bare minimum, but yeah, you're right. I mean, like a few Hellbats, they'll just melt this.
It's pure Ling against 3/3 Hellbats with Blue Flames and Ghost. This is not going to go well for Shin.
God. I have never quite cast a game like this. I have never quite seen this. Look at this. He's getting gas, you know, in tens right now, ticking up. That's not enough.
I don't think there's any path forward for Shin. Maru has weathered the impossible storm.
I cannot believe this. Look at the spread. He's got so many ghosts too, and there's enough tanks. And the Hellbats really, I mean, that's all you need against this many Zerglings.
The Hellbats alone could win this fight.
Yeah.
Wow. What a game from Maru.
Dude, I cannot believe that. I cannot believe it.
What a win.
I cannot believe it.
And
oh my.